So, you've decided to publish your own book. Good for you. There's a lot of freedom in publishing your own work that you wouldn't have if you were traditionally publishing. For one, you have the option of designing your own book cover, or of having the perfect one designed for you. This is huge because your cover is one of the most important parts of your book. Book covers are wonderful tools authors can use to promote their books and themselves in a wide variety of situations, both online and off. There are a number of benefits of having a smashing book cover specifically tailored to your book. For one thing, you can more professionally and attractively display your book online and off. Think of your favorite book, either a physical book or an e-book. Now, imagine that book without its cover. It's not nearly as intriguing to look at, is it? This is probably more true of physical books than it is e-books, but honestly, even before I read an e-book, I look at the cover. Even if my Kindle starts me right at the text, I'll flip back to look at the cover. The book cover is just part of the book reading experience for me. I can't do without it, not very happily at least, and I'm probably not the only one who feels that way. Second, your book cover is a visual preview of what's inside your book. At least it can be, if done correctly. You can give your reader a sense of what to expect before they ever even open the cover to start reading. Consider, for example, how dark Stephen King's book It is. Well, really, most of King's books are dark because that's the brand he's set up for himself. That's what people expect from a Stephen King book. He would never pick a photo like the one on the right in this slide to represent his diabolical Pennywise. She just doesn't look evil enough. Granted, I'm still afraid of clowns on principle, but you get the idea. If you have a dark book about an evil murdering clown, you don't want to use sweet-looking children, flowers, or even bright colors in your book cover. Similarly, you can feature a special image or theme on your book's cover. Let's take a moment to look at these two covers for Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter, which is still one of my all-time favorite books. The one on the left has a statue of some guy, presumably Nathaniel Hawthorne, but there's no real way of telling this for sure. It doesn't really tell you anything about what to expect within the pages of this book, although it's such a familiar book, most people probably already know what it's about. The cover on the right, while it is a bit plain, has that iconic big red A, which is an important part of this novel. It, along with the ill-treated Hester Prynne, is what I always think of when I hear this title. So the cover on the right is a much better fit for this book, to my way of thinking. The right book cover will help you stand out in a positive way from your competition, especially as an indie author. You'll give your readers a visual aid that will help them decide whether your book is right for them, and you'll display a professionalism that is sorely lacking in the indie publishing world. We've all heard that saying, you can't judge a book by its cover, meaning how things appear on the surface is not necessarily equal to how they really are deep down, on the inside. This is an old saying. It seems it was derived from a 1st or 2nd century A.D. quote by Roman author Juvenal, Fronti nulla fides, which literally means never have faith in the front. This proves true in many things in life. You can't pick a marriage partner based on beauty alone. You can't tell how well a car is going to drive by how it looks on display in the showroom. But the sad truth of the matter is that most of the time you can tell a lot about a book by what's on its cover. And, whether they want to admit it or not, most readers do judge books by their covers. In fact, they may not even consciously be doing it. If you read a lot, as most readers do, you're going to be exposed to a lot of different books of varying qualities and lots of different book covers. The more reading you do, especially within a certain genre, the more you become accustomed to a certain standard of quality, both in terms of the writing itself and in the book cover image. Take some time, either right now, pause this video if you have to, or later, to browse through some pages of books in your genre selling right now on Amazon. Sort by best-selling to find the ones that are really doing well in terms of sales. Note the 10 covers you think are the best, and then the 10 you think are the worst. Either they're just ugly or they're way too generic. How many of the best covers you found belong to traditionally published books? How many belong to indie books? How many of the worst covers belong to traditionally published books? What about the indie books? Chances are, more of the best covers belong to traditionally published books, and more of the worst covers belong to the indie books. Here's a little experiment I did within a genre of particular interest to me since I'm getting ready to start a new series, historical mysteries. I searched for the term historical mystery within the historical mystery book category on Amazon and sorted by new and popular. My search came up with over 7,000 books. I rated the first 100 book covers that showed up in my search on a scale from 1 to 10 on how well I thought the cover portrayed its book based on the book description. I also factored in aesthetic quality. First of all, I was amazed by how many indie books did not show up in the top 100 in my search. There were a handful of titles by small indie publishers, but there was only one title by a self-published author. His cover fell squarely in the middle of my estimation, not one of the best, but not one of the worst either. Some of those indie publisher titles did make it into my worst cover list. I just must not care very much at all for the Soho crime cover artist. In the next slide, I'm showing you my most favorite cover, and have put it next to the cover I created for my own historical mystery series, which connects to Sherlock Holmes in its own unique way. I don't want to give away too much of the relationship right now, because my main character doesn't even yet understand how she and Doyle's famous detective are connected. Both of these covers have basically focused on one image, the image that features most prominently in the story. The Beekeeper's Apprentice has its beehive and a bee, and My Marriage and a Murder has its wedding dress with blood spatters all over it to connect better with the murder theme. Over the years, I've learned that it's better to have your cover mimic in some way your favorite traditionally published book covers. Don't skip the book cover comparison step. If you want your cover to look as professional as possible, it's good to have an idea of what the competition looks like, and especially what most appeals to you. Be sure to share this information with your cover artists so they will have a better idea of your desires and expectations. I want to put a disclaimer here that these best and worst collages are based solely on my own preferences, and they are not meant to be a statement on either the talent or the work ethic of the cover artists or publishing companies involved. Book cover preferences are subjective, as are book preferences in general. You want to find a cover designer who will do a good job for you in terms of quality and knowledge, but mostly you want to find a cover designer who has similar tastes to you and who will really understand you as an artist. Traditionally published authors have professionally designed covers because the publisher pays for them, and these really stand out from most indie book covers because many indie authors do not have the funds to hire a professional cover designer. Most of the time, they end up using generic covers offered by online publishing companies like Lulu and Amazon. The result? A lot of unprofessional-looking book covers using the same images and templates with different titles and author names. I know. I've been there, done that. I self-published my first book, Shadows of Things to Come, on Lulu in 2006. Since I didn't have any money to pay for professional cover design, and honestly, I was so green back then it didn't occur to me that I might need a professionally designed cover, I used one of Lulu's free cover templates. It looked nice, it fit the story okay, but it just wasn't quite there yet, I didn't think, or at least that was what I realized by the time I decided to re-release the book in 2012. By that time, I knew a bit about cover design, so I created my own cover using basically the same color scheme as the old one, but I inserted a little more of the book's theme in the image, the hourglass and the two young people, the scared girl looking up at the evil-looking man, because that's basically what this book is about. Megan's time is running out in her fight against her dangerous boyfriend, Tony. Last year, when I began the sequel to Shadows of Things to Come, actually, I think it may have been before I even started writing the sequel, I came up with a cover for it, a cover that was decidedly different than the cover for its predecessor. This, I thought, would be a problem because readers would be less likely to understand that these two books are in a series together based on the covers alone. So I decided to redo my Shadows cover to help with the branding of the series. This was the result. But Shadows of Things to Come is not the only one of my books to have undergone so much change. The cover for my sweet romance novella Believe in Me went through a similar metamorphosis. I first published it on Amazon and used one of their stock photos and cover templates. The result? Horrible. Well, at least in comparison with all the other romance titles that are out there. After I reworked my Shadows cover, I decided to rework the Believe in Me cover too, basing the image on the very last scene in the book. The result was good. Well, it was okay. Better than the Amazon template anyway. But it still wasn't as amazing as it could have been. Sometime later, I met author-artist Barbara Ivy Green, and I edited a book for her, which she paid for with cash. She was so impressed with my work that she decided she wanted me to edit her other 2 books, but she asked if I would be interested in a trade, 1 book edit for 1 book cover. At that time, I was having so much trouble coming up with a book cover on my own for my first historical novel, I gladly agreed. In the process of working on that cover, however, she came up with an amazing idea for a new cover for Believe in Me. She started off with, "Your cover is good, but what do you think about this?" Her idea wowed me so much I dropped everything I was doing to email her back and tell her I wanted it. Here's what she came up with. I love it, and I'm still using it today. I don't think I'll ever change the cover for that book again. She absolutely nailed it. And she absolutely nailed the cover for my historical novel, too. See how beautiful it is? It's actually a finalist in the Book Goodies cover contest right now. Click on the link to visit the page, and if you think it's as amazing a cover as I do, please leave a comment and or share the post. The more shares and comments I get, the more likely I will be to win. Thanks. Barbara is an amazing artist, but she doesn't work cheap. If you have the extra money, please do visit her website and see what she can do for your book cover. But chances are, if you're viewing this on Fiverr, you didn't come for expensive. You came for cheap. That's what I'm offering. And just to reassure you a little, Barbara, the professional artist, says I have a good eye for what works and what doesn't when it comes to book covers. And I'm building new cover design skills all the time. So you might be taking a chance by working with me, but you won't be completely wasting your time. Besides that, I'm giving you a 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee, so you really have nothing to lose by working with me. So, just why is your book cover so important anyway? Well, for one thing, some reviewers won't even think about reading and reviewing a book that has an ugly or unprofessional-looking cover, and we all know how important book reviews are for driving indie book sales. Besides, if an actual book reviewer, the people who love books a lot and who tend to be less discriminating than your average reader, won't touch a book because of its cover, why would your everyday reader? Potential reviews lost, but, more importantly, potential sales lost. Numerous internet studies have shown that the average website visitor spends less than a minute on any given page they visit, and they read less than a quarter of the information presented on any given page. If you don't grab their interest in the first 10 seconds of their visit, they're gone. Sale lost. A fabulous book cover can go a long way toward getting them to stay on your site. This is especially crucial to the indie author whose main means of selling will be on Amazon and possibly other web pages long enough to read the book description, which, along with the amazing book cover, will hopefully get them to click on the Buy Now or Add to Cart buttons. The right cover can boost your book sales. Indie authors have proven this time and time again. When they've changed their book covers to ones that are more professional looking, they've been able to increase their sales significantly, sometimes even doubling or tripling them. I've seen a spike of sales in my own books due to changing the book covers from the generic templates to more book-specific creations. As an indie author myself, I know how hard it is to market your work. There are a million different factors to consider in marketing, and some of those you don't have any control over at all. But there is one thing you can control, and that is the book cover. Why not take the first step in making your book cover the best it can be by contacting me today to see how I can help you?